In a world flooded with noise, truth demands voices. We question the surface and dig for the meaning. Ideas are challenged, perspectives collide, and understanding is born. Not every story is easy to hear. Not every truth is comfortable to face. Yet, we face it all with thought, with courage, with clarity. As the world writes its stories, in questions and chaos, only those willing to listen can find the meaning hidden within. It's a search for truth, without compromise, without apology, without fear. Where others stay silent, we speak. Where others look away, we look deep. In a world of corruption, deceit, distractions, deflection, and power grab, truth is never given. So we must investigate, report, and become the new generation of media for the people, for liberty, for justice, for all. So come on in. Hit like, subscribe, share, engage, and welcome to Thesis of the World.
Imagine this. It's a normal day. You're leaving work, driving home, same roads, same crazy traffic jams, same routine, same every day. You finally get clear of the traffic, the normal calmness, and then flashing blue lights. In a split second, everything changes. A black van screeches to a stop. Men in black hop out. You freeze. You yell what's happening. You are 20 minutes from home. You're grabbed out of your vehicle. You scream. What's going on? Who are you? You're surrounded by men in black, all black. They drag you into a van, and later that night, they take you not only from the city, but vanished you out of America. They fly you across the border, shackled silent, to a place so brutal it's whispered in terror. The most ruthless prison on earth. You were not to be deported. The court said so in 2019. How did this happen? You can't call no one. Does your family even know where you are? What is happening? If this happened to you, wouldn't you want your loved ones and the activist to continue to fight for you?
That is exactly what occurred to Kilmar Abrego Garcia. In a brief overview, on the 15th of March, 2025, the United States unlawfully disappeared Kilmar Abrego Garcia to El Salvador, where he is detained at the Center for Terrorism Confinement, CICOT. If you have not heard about this travesty, after watching this video, please go watch my last 2 videos on this story to be caught up to speed on this case, which highlights the actual court transcripts. The United States acknowledges that Abrego Garcia was under a withholding order forbidding removal to El Salvador, making the deportation illegal. Officials blame an administrative error. They also allege Garcia's gang membership ties to MS-13, a claim Garcia strongly denies, highlighting his decade-long crime-free residence with his family in Maryland. The U.S. District Court ordered the government to facilitate and effectuate Garcia's return by the 7th of April, 2025. After an emergency application, Chief Justice Roberts issued an administrative stay. Today, the court partially grants the government's application, vacating the expired deadline, but leaving the return order intact, requiring clarification on how to effectuate the return. In a unanimous decision by the Supreme Court, they ordered that the administration to facilitate Kilmar Abrego Garcia to be returned to the United States. However, there was no deadline. Right after Supreme Court ruling, the federal court in Maryland set new requirements, answers, which are as follows. The current physical location and custodial status of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. What steps, if any, defendants have taken to facilitate Abrego Garcia's immediate return to the United States, and what additional steps defendants will take, and when, to facilitate his return. We all see that the Trump administration is consistently balking at the rule of law and acting completely lawless on all fronts.
A win today. There is a plan going forward. I want to read something more. You heard it, but for everyone, for our viewers, the judge said today that every day Mr. Garcia is detained in CICOT is a day of irreparable harm. But it does sound like there are, at the very least, many more days that he will be spending there. I mean, what is the next step?
And then the last one will be if she does, in fact, the district court judge, hold them in contempt. I think one of the most important parts of the order that she gave this evening is she actually points to one of the ways in which the United States government seems to have control over the matter. She says it's inexplicable that Abrego Garcia is still being held in CCOT. And then she drops a footnote and cites the text that we do have from the written agreement with El Salvador that's being released by the Associated Press because they obtained part of the agreement, which says that they'll be holding CCOT, quote, pending the United States decision on their long-term disposition, end quote. That's what the judge says, which is basically saying you have much more authority, the United States government, to do something here, to do anything, take certain steps to facilitate his release.
Even at the detriment of the families and individual lives. So, what will happen with them repeatedly filing emergency proceedings in order to continue having this held up in the court system, without any doubt, a constitutional crisis? The U.S. government is built on the principle that the Supreme Court is the final interpreter of the law. If a president openly refuses to comply, it triggers a constitutional crisis, meaning the basic structure of government is at risk because one branch, the executive, refuses to obey another, the judiciary. Loss of legitimacy and public trust. Defying the Supreme Court would severely erode the president's legitimacy domestically and internationally. It would likely spark massive protest, state defiance, and civil unrest because the rule of law would appear broken. Congressional action. Impeachment. Defying a Supreme Court order is a direct violation of the president's oath to faithfully execute the laws of the United States. Congress could immediately move to impeach the president for high crimes and misdemeanors. This happened before. During the Nixon era, Watergate, defying court rulings and withholding evidence, was one reason for his impeachment proceedings.
A quitter. To leave office before my term is completed is abhorrent to every instinct in my body. But as president, I must put the interests of America first. America needs a full-time president and a full-time Congress, particularly at this time with problems we face at home and abroad. To continue to fight through the months ahead for my personal vindication would almost totally absorb the time and attention of both the President and the Congress in a period when our entire focus should be on the great issues of peace abroad and prosperity without inflation at home. Therefore, I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
While the Supreme Court itself has no police force, it can order lower courts, like federal district court, to compel compliance. Federal marshals, U.S. attorneys, and law enforcement agencies could theoretically be ordered to enforce the court's decision against the president's will. But if the president controls those agencies and they refuse, deeper constitutional crisis. Military and cabinet resignations. Top military leaders, Department of Justice officials, or cabinet members could resign en masse to avoid being complicit in breaking the law. The military, under the Constitution, must obey lawful orders, and an illegal order defying the court is not lawful. Historical precedent matters. Historically, presidents have flirted with this line but backed down.
Can you repeat what you said about there's three things that they're being asked to do, and every single day the judges expect them to do it?
There's one thing that they're being asked to do. The one thing they're being asked to do is to take all reasonable steps to facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. In the meanwhile, they're asked to provide three pieces of information. One is, what is the current status of Mr. Abrego Garcia? Where is he and under whose custody? Two, what steps have you taken to date? And then three, essentially, what's the plan? What steps are you going to take going forward? But the thing that the government was asked to do was to bring him back. And that's what they need to really get started on now. No more games.
Kilmar, if you can hear me, I'm still fighting for you. Your brother, your mother, our children are still fighting for you. But we're not going to give up hope to the Supreme Court justice. Do the right thing. History will always remember you.
Bottom line, the president has no legal right to ignore the Supreme Court. Open defiance would almost certainly lead to impeachment, national turmoil, and a fundamental breakdown of government. In practice, every president who tested the court eventually complied or faced massive consequences. However, we have never had a president like this ever. When one class of people vote for a reflection of the hate they harbor for a particular class or demographics, rather than voting for one that will represent all, it was not hard to see what was going to beset us all. So, as the days pass, the fight to bring Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was unlawfully denied due process, whisked off illegally to El Salvador to have the highest court, the Supreme Court, ruling for Kilmar, that the Trump administration to facilitate his return. They have yet to comply and continue being lawless. We will not stop fighting for Kilmar. Please hit the like button to keep this story alive and in the algorithm. If this was your loved one and the way things are going, we will come to know or have someone we care about being denied of due process and disappeared. You would want the same support and case visibility. In addition, as a new YouTube creator, please subscribe and help in growing this channel. Now more than ever, we need as many people willing to take the time and effort to promote the truth and protect our First Amendment rights. No matter how heavy and volatile the world is currently, thoughts, reflections, and respect always carry us home. So, as we come in for the soft landing, remember, hard truths, bold conversations, but always peace at the end. And as always, stand up, speak up, and let the voices of freedom break the silence. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Thesis of the World. Please hit the like button to keep this story alive and in the algorithm. If this was your loved one and the way things are going, we will come to know or have someone we care about being denied of due process and disappeared. You would want the same support and case visibility. In addition, as a new YouTube creator, please subscribe and help in growing this channel. Now more than ever, we need as many people willing to take the time and effort to promote the truth and protect our First Amendment rights. No matter how heavy and volatile the world is currently, thoughts, reflections, and respect always carry us home. So, as we come in for the soft landing, remember, hard truths, bold conversations, but always peace at the end. And as always, stand up, Speak up and let the voices of freedom break the silence. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Thesis of the World.